welcome back to The Past Made Me Do It.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Kylie.
It has been a time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're trying our best, okay? We're trying. Our goal is to always post bi-weekly. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. It happens.
It has been crazy the last, I would say, month and a half of just illnesses going around. It hit my family. I had this weird 24-hour bug that went around our house. I have never been that sick in my life. I was throwing up for 24 hours straight.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I could not eat or drink anything. It was the worst time of my life. And then James, my husband, had it just right 8 hours after me.
Oh my God.
And that man, oh my God. When he gets sick, it's the end of the world.
Men are so dramatic when they're sick. They're like...
Oh, he's on a different level because he's already dramatic when he's not sick. So when he
my husband, I get it. Oh my God, if my husband has a flu, get every medicine ever known to man. I need this and this and that. I'm like, bruh, men can never give birth.
My husband will just lay on the couch with his blanket up and he'll be like, I'm so cold. I have no energy. He's like, I need sustenance.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like women just know how to handle those things.
Well, yeah, we have a period every month.
Yeah, especially when you're a mom. It's like you just got to keep going.
Oh, 100%. I was having a rough time.
Yeah.
It was not great. And then with having my daughter, too, because she definitely had it before us. And she gave it to me, and then I gave it to James. I gave it to him.
Yeah.
I admit that I say that she gave it to both of us. I'm not going to admit that I gave it to him.
I mean, no, he got it from her. Obviously.
I give her more cuddles, but...
Yeah, we had a weird bug that was off and on last week. It was so weird. One day we'd feel fine, the next day it was back. And it was just... I couldn't eat much, and being this far into my pregnancy, I'm already in the 3rd trimester. Not being able to eat, my own personal hell.
Oh my God, I bet.
My child was so mad at me, but I'm like, I cannot eat anything. Everything's disgusting. I can't even eat ramen.
Oh.
But this week has been a 360. I had energy for the first time in months.
Oh my God.
I know. I woke up Monday as a whole new person. So.
In the 3rd trimester too?
Yeah. Don't worry. It's not going to last.
Yeah.
I already know I'm going to wake up next Monday and be like, I'm over it. But I took full advantage of it. Got a lot of work done. Got cleaning done. Things that I've been putting off. So maybe it's my nesting urge coming in.
Probably.
That could be it, but who knows? Anyway,
exciting.
We have 4 more episodes until just a quick maternity leave. I won't be gone that long. I think I'll be ready after a month. So that's the current plan. So there probably won't be any episodes in July, but we'll be back for August, hopefully. We will not leave for a year again. That was a rough time because we both had babies around the same time. So.
Yeah, don't count on me having anyone.
Yeah, so we should be good. Should we talk about what's happening in the world?
Oh yeah, I got a real doozy.
Hey, 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 what's been happening?
Okay, so my husband showed me this video while I was washing dishes today, and it freaked me the fuck out.
What was it?
So, on this last Friday night, a pedestrian was hit and killed by an aircraft on the runway of a U.S. airport. It was Denver.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that this morning.
It was Frontier Airlines.
So do we know what happened?
So it just struck from what I see, it just struck a pedestrian on the runway during takeoff. I don't know if
I saw that someone had to jump. I think it said someone had to jump the fence because no one was supposed to be there.
Yeah, no. So this was a random person that shouldn't have been on the runway, and they were being fucking idiots, being stupid.
What
and
were they doing?
Yeah, they got fucking killed. That's what they were doing. They wanted to die, probably. Oh, from what they said, they got struck, but from what it sounded like, he went into the propeller.
Because they didn't even know who the person was. So it wasn't like a worker. So that just shows like...
No, it was just like a random pedestrian.
They can't be at fault for it.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, so they had to evacuate the plane. Because, like, it couldn't go off because it was, like, smoking and stuff like that. So, yeah, like, it definitely...
Did everyone, like, hear a sound? Like, what?
Well, they heard it, yeah. On the thing, it says a pedestrian was hit and killed, but I think the pedestrian went into the propeller
just dove
thing. In. No, I think he, like, went poof as it was coming towards him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's why it was smoking and they had to evacuate. Because if it just, like, booped him, then, like, they didn't really need to evacuate.
Oh, my God.
Like, there. But, like, if it was smoking and stuff like that, he, like, definitely went into, like, that part of the plane.
Ooh.
That was spinning.
Yeah, that had to be a rough death. A quick one, probably.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, I saw that and was just like, why?
And of course that would happen at DIA because DIA is sus. That place is full of activities and
it was
conspiracies.
Yeah, it was probably Ghost.
I mean, we got Lucifer.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past it. I haven't seen the video, but
it was like, it wasn't even like a full video. It was like a very shaky video that you couldn't tell what was going on. And then there was a bunch of screaming. So people saw it.
Like the people
saw the person, like in the plane, saw the person.
How?
Because they were like moving to like take off, and they saw the pedestrian outside the plane, and so someone started filming it, and then saw the person getting closer, and because like a plane can't just like skirt out of the way, and then they saw him go in, and then they were like, ah,
Jesus, damn, that's wild. Rest in peace to that person.
Yeah.
Is the airplane a goner?
Probably. I mean, unless they have to just like fix that part. I don't know. It was Frontier Airlines.
Yeah.
Surprised.
Yeah. Literally just flew them last month, and both times it took forever to take off because there was like paperwork issues. They asked me 3 times if I paid for Rosie's seat. I was like, yes. I literally asked me the same question every time. She's supposed to be in your lap, or did you pay for a seat? I paid for a seat. Literally showed them my ticket. They came back and asked again.
So you're in the basement of DIA.
Yeah, literally. It's a crazy walk to get there.
It's so far.
But it's cheap.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was really nice having a 1.5-year-old in her own seat because, like, we had more space, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
What's yours?
Well, mine's just the virus, you know. The virus we're all fearing at this time.
Oh, okay.
Because we have to talk about it. It's what's happening right now. And maybe we can look back at this episode and be like, that turned into nothing. And I'm hoping that's how it ends. But, of course, the hantavirus happening from the cruise ship. And everyone was like, okay, don't dock them. But then they got docked. And then one went on an airplane and got a flight attendant sick. And all that, yeah.
Are people stupid?
Yeah.
Well, I knew this, but like,
yeah.
Did we learn nothing?
And it wasn't like we're trying to keep them out at sea forever, but like, quarantine them.
Literally.
How are they able to get to an airport?
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, this is the next COVID-19. Most people are not worried about it. But then I think back to when like COVID-19 started and everyone was like, it's not going to be that big of a deal, you know? So it's hard to know, but we do have more info on this virus, whereas we didn't have as much about COVID known. And this one's a lot more deadly. So we really got to hope it doesn't spread.
Well, the number one thing is just finding, like, everybody that was on the cruise ship and automatically, like, quarantining them.
Yeah, which they didn't really do, I don't think. So
yeah.
Because they've already gotten other people sick. There were 2 in New Jersey that just got sick. And they're like, well, it's spread through rats and mice, but then they couldn't find any traces of rats or mice on the ship. So they think it's the strain that's spread from human to human.
Did they quarantine those people?
The same people.
But, like, the people that, like, ended up getting it, did they quarantine them?
I don't know.
Because, like, if someone gets it, quarantine yourself.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Yeah. Like, don't say, oh, I have it or I had it, like, and then go out in public. Like, that's not going to help you.
Yeah, like, how are they being exposed on the airplane? The CDC has classified the outbreak as a level 3 emergency response, the lowest level of emergency activation. So here's the thing, though. If we're not worried about it, it's going to get worse. So can we act like it is an emergency?
Well, the number one thing is finding the people who were on that flight with that person, who were on that cruise ship.
Yeah.
And kind of put in that vicinity and be like, okay, you need to quarantine yourself or go to a doctor.
Right.
Because you don't want to take it too out of, like, to where it's like fear mongering to where it's just like.
Yeah, no.
Because I feel like that's where a lot of it went into COVID, where it's like if we took it into the precaution of where it's like you handle it to where of like, okay, if you think you may have it, quarantine yourself.
Yeah, it says that they quarantine them. Wait, when was this? Didn't this just happen?
I thought so.
How come it says they were monitored for 42 days? Okay, I don't know what source this is, but it's like 17 Americans were exposed to a hantavirus outbreak on the MV Hondias cruise ship in May 2026. Face quarantine for 42 days. It's May 9th. So no, they didn't. But they're told to quarantine. Well, we know people don't like to listen to that. We learned that the hard way. Quarantine in Nebraska. Hold on. This was 5 hours ago. 17 American passengers aboard that cruise ship will quarantine in Nebraska. Yeah, so they're in a Nebraska facility. But there were some people who probably got off and didn't know they had it.
Yeah.
Didn't feel symptoms yet. That's probably how that girl was on an airplane. I think she got really sick on the airplane, so she had to get escorted off.
Yeah.
So then the flight attendant who escorted her off got sick. So. And the death rate's like 40 to 60%. Like, it's bad. Yeah. COVID was only like, I think 5%.
Yeah.
So. A lot worse. I don't know. I don't think we're going to have another pandemic, but it's hard to tell because at least our country is not smart. So, they don't know how to handle these things.
No, it's just, I think it's more of just taking that precaution of just, if you think you're exposed or just if you're not
don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Stay home for a long time.
Yeah, if you're not feeling well.
Yeah. So, anyway, hopefully it doesn't become anything bigger, but that'd be so scary to get. Anyway, that's what's been happening. Airplane crashes and viruses. So, do you have a fun topic for us today? Oh no.
Not really.
Oh no.
I mean, no.
Okay.
It's inspiring.
Oh, we love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Okay.
Amelia Earhart. No?
Didn't I already cover her?
Did you?
I think I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh. I forgot. We already have so many episodes. I forget what we've done. I had to look up if we did mine already.
Oh my god.
Because I was like... Yeah, we did do her. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Who else is inspiring? I don't know.
It's many someone's.
Oh, a whole group.
Kinda.
Okay.
All right. Imagine standing at the edge of a Civil War battlefield. Smoke fills across the horizon. The ground is soaked, but not with rain, but with blood. The sounds are overwhelming. You have cannon fire going off.
Boo, boo.
You have screams.
Ah.
And death. But just beyond those front lines, we have those ready to help.
The nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Inside makeshift hospitals, churches, barns, warehouses, men and women fought a different battle.
Yes.
This is the story of the women who assisted and reformed what we know today for nursing.
Wait, did you read The Women?
No, I did not have time for that.
Well, no, it's not even about the Civil War, but it's just a really good book about like nurses.
Mm-mm.
I think it's the Vietnam War, if I remember right.
My mom told me to read that.
It's so good. Kirsten Hanna is so good.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I read another one about nurses in the war. That was really good, but I don't remember what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm excited for this topic. I love this.
So yeah, we're talking about nurses of the Civil War.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I took a Civil War class in college. It was interesting. I did talk about some women in the Civil War because they were badasses. They had to do so much that, I mean, there's a lot that we don't know. Because, of course, they weren't documented. And what was documented were just like, whoa. Because we don't really think about that. Because when a lot of people study the Civil War, they think about the battles.
Yeah.
And the generals and stuff like that. They don't think about the normal people that were a part of the war.
Yeah.
So.
Because a big part about that book was like, when she returns home, no one asks her about her experience.
Yeah.
They only ask the men.
Yep.
And they can have the same like PTSD and everything, but like no one really cared how they were doing.
Like all of these nurses had just as much, I'm sure, PTSD as a lot of these soldiers because of what they witnessed. Especially
the amount of stuff you see.
Well, yeah, and it's just like in World War II, World War I, you had the nurses as well, especially those that were overseas.
Yeah.
And those that were helping then. Oh my God, I can't imagine what they saw.
No.
And the nurses in the Civil War, oh boy. Oh boy.
Man.
They saw a lot of limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get started, let me go over where I pulled my information from. This week, I decided to pull from as much as I could, as each source I grabbed from had a little bit of each topic I will briefly cover. I pulled from the Mapping Care Project website. I also pulled from the Encyclopedia of Alabama website. I also pulled from the VA website, which I was like, ugh, VA. But it actually had quite a bit.
Okay.
The RoswellPark.org, battlefields.org, and also the U.S. Department of War website. I had a couple books I was going to look into, but when I had already all had this information, I was like, I'm going to skip on it this time.
Yeah.
Because I had the books that I had mostly just... It was mostly quotes and stuff like that. So
yeah, it makes sense. More personal experience.
Yeah, and I was like, there's only so much I could put in one episode. So, and there's still so much more from what I'm just going to cover today. And I highly recommend diving deep into the women that I'm going to cover today, because I'm only doing a brief topic of these women. Like, yeah, I'm barely touching on the women that I will cover, or just even this topic. Like, there's still so much. Like, some of the women I might even just dive deeper into a separate episode, because there's one I actually want to do a separate episode on, because she is huge.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But yeah, it's crazy. All right, so let's get started. So, before the Civil War, the idea of a nurse as a trained professional barely existed in the United States. Caregiving was informal and deeply tied to the home. So, women were expected to care for sick relatives, but this work was not recognized as skilled labor. So, nursing was not a profession for women at all, really. So, in fact, hospitals were often avoided entirely, seen as overcrowded, unsanitary places where people went to die rather than to recover. So, people didn't want to go to hospitals.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, this perception wasn't unfounded. So, medical knowledge in the early 1800s was limited. There was
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, there was not a lot. It was what I would call the experimental period.
Yeah, you gotta learn somehow.
There was a lot of experimenting in the 1800s of medical just knowledge.
For sure.
So germ theory had not yet been widely accepted, meaning doctors and caregivers often unknowingly spread infections. Still kind of do, I swear. Well, average people. Surgical tools were reused without sterilization. Basic hygiene practices were inconsistent at best. So
maybe I just can't picture myself back then, but like, isn't it obvious that you would have to sterilize something?
No, because they didn't think that, like, because they didn't know about germ theory. They didn't know that, like, if you, like,
that's
stuck a needle or, like, a syringe in somebody and then you stuck it into somebody else, that, like, that nastiness could infect somebody else. They had no idea.
It's just weird to, like, put yourself in their shoes because it's, like, to us, that's, like, duh.
Well, yeah.
But to not know that.
Again, experimental.
Yeah.
And it's because of, like, them realizing that, oh, if I do this and this happens, like, oh. Like, everything that we know had to have an experiment happen.
Right. Yeah,
to understand it.
Like, to us, I guess it'd be like drinking out of the same straw.
Yeah.
To us, that's probably like, oh, well, it'll be fine. But then we might find out one day that, like, I mean, obviously it can make you sick if you drink out of someone's cup. That's a bad example.
Like, I got mono.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, how, like, casual we are about that sometimes.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, something big could come out about it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so weird to, like, think about what it was like back then. To not have the knowledge, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah, especially, like, in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Just, like, it doesn't seem that long ago, but
wow,
it's crazy.
That's wild.
It's wild. So this practice, though, was about to change. So the work of Florence Nightingale during the Crimean War demonstrated that cleanliness, organization, and careful observation could drastically reduce death rates. So because of this lady, she was like, if you do this, not as many deaths.
Is that the woman you want to study more of?
Oh, yeah, I would love to do her, but there's actually another woman.
Oh, okay.
Love but that. Yeah, Florence Nightingale, like, she's huge in the nursing community.
Her name is so cool.
Right?
I love that.
Right? Oh.
That's be like the coolest last name ever. And Nightingale? I love the name Florence, too. It's so cute.
Oh, amazing.
Love her.
But it's like, this woman was just like, hey, if you, like, clean up after yourself and you kind of just aren't dirty, not as many people are going to die. And they're probably like, oh, she's a woman. Who cares?
Right.
But then they probably were secretly like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
So her emphasis on sanitation and structured care began to reshape how people thought about nursing, even across the Atlantic. So the United States were just like, oh, okay, like, that's not a bad idea. And so this woman, like, she started reshaping that. It's crazy how that is.
An icon.
Oh, she's an icon for sure. So at the same time, religious groups, especially Catholic nuns, were already practicing disciplined caregiving in hospitals. So they were the accepted nurses because they knew that, oh, these nuns aren't going to do anything. They're not going to be scandalous with these men. They're here to help with their whatever.
Did they even have knowledge? Or did they just pray?
Yeah.
Lord, bring back the leg.
The bare minimum. Their routines, attention to cleanliness, and commitment to service became early models of organized nursing. So they kind of just were keeping everything in check.
Okay.
So when the Civil War began, the United States had fragments of an idea of what nursing should be, but no like system exactly, which, as we'll see, was not great.
Yeah.
So when the war broke out in 1861, neither the Union nor the Confederacy was prepared for the scale of human suffering that followed. If you are not familiar with the Civil War because you never learned it, which I get it, because if you are not from the United States, you probably didn't learn it. Totally valid. The Union was the northern states of the United States. So at this time, you had like New York was one of them, Pennsylvania, kind of like that area. And then you had the Confederacy, which is the South. So you had like Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, like those states. Though that was the Confederacy. And the Union and the Confederacy could not decide on pretty much how they wanted to run the country. And so they broke out into this war. Pretty much. So that's what I mean by the Union and Confederacy. So let's move on. So battles like Shiloh, Antietam, and Gettysburg produced casualties in the tens of thousands. So soldiers flooded into hospitals that were never designed to handle such numbers. So many people were dying because this war was a change in how these wars were being fought. They were not structured battles that were the same as they used to be. They were getting more violent, and so many more men were dying because of it.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, shit, what do we do? So in this process, disease spread rapidly through the camps and hospital alike because there were so many people flooding these. So you had dysentery, you had typhoid fever, you had pneumonia, and there was really no medicine back then to help you with that, or IV fluids and stuff like that. That didn't exist.
Yeah, there's like nothing.
Nothing. Except, I hope you get okay.
Go rest.
Pat on the back.
Yeah.
So these illnesses killed more soldiers than the combat itself, unfortunately. So at first, military leaders resisted the idea of women serving as nurses. Concerns about propriety, discipline, and safety slowed their acceptance. No
biggest
shock.
eye roll I've ever done.
But reality intervened. They were like, well, shit. The sheer number of wounded soldiers made it impossible to exclude women or anyone willing to help in this case, which happens in every single war leading on after this. We look at the World War I and World War II. Who helped build and in the factories? Women. They were the livelihood.
Yep.
And so thousands stepped forward. Thousands of women stepped forward to help. Crazy. Some came out of patriotism. Others came out of necessity. Many simply saw suffering and chose to respond.
Love women.
It's crazy how that is. So now I am going to do a little comparison. Union versus Confederate nursing systems.
Oh, okay.
Because they are very different.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy how that was. Same country, different systems, because the Union and the Confederacy, like the North and South, you live in the same country, but they lived very different lives.
Oh, yeah. Basically, it was different countries.
Because the South was very plantation, very just old school, like Southern charm.
Racist, yeah.
Racist, like slavery was huge. Like it was very conservative. Still is.
Yeah.
And then you have the North where you have a lot more industrialization up there. I mean, slavery was still a thing up in the North.
Yeah, yeah.
It still was until the end of the war, but a lot more freedom up in that way, and a lot more, like, I would say, progressive.
A lot more were fighting for slaves to be free.
I mean, that
side.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't really their whole point in the war, unfortunately. But, I mean, that did become a leading factor of just, like...
Yeah. A lot of people wanted that.
Yeah. Like, towards the end, they're just like, this is something that we do want. And, of course, the Confederacy was like, hold up. No.
Crazy time.
Okay. Yeah. So, as the war continued, differences between the Union and Confederate approaches to nursing became more pronounced. So, under Dorothea Dix, the Union established a more formal nursing structure. So, Dorothea sought to bring order to chaos. So, she enforced rules that reflected both discipline and social norms of the time. So, she was like, nurses had to be over 30. They were expected to dress modestly, because she was like, I don't want any of these women to be provocative or to have any of these men to think of them as objects. They want them strictly to be seen as just nurses here to help. And
okay, but if they're dying, are they really gonna try to throw their shot out?
It was the 1800s. Social norms were crazy.
Yeah.
So, and
it's always the women's fault.
Yeah. So they also had to demonstrate strong moral character. So she had a very...
Don't be a hoe.
Yeah, she had very high standards. But honestly, she was... I'm pretty sure anybody that came in and was like, I'm here to help, she was like, okay. So this structure helped legitimize nursing as serious work rather than informal assistance. So having these higher standards kind of proved of like, we want people who actually want to put in the effort, and not just someone saying that, oh, I want to say that I helped.
Yeah, she probably had to put those standards in place just for like the government and for everyone else to see, like...
and to weed out the weak.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I would want to weed out the weak too. Be like, if you're not going to handle it, get out of my face. I want someone who's going to help.
Yeah.
So, for sure. That's just how I feel. So the United States Sanitary Commission became another cornerstone of the Union medical care. So it functioned almost like a public health organization working to improve sanitation in camps, educate the soldiers on hygiene, inspect medical facilities, and also distribute supplies efficiently. So they had a whole like program going on of like helping soldiers, helping facilities, like trying to keep hospitals at bay and to keep them structured and organized without them overflowing and being overcrowded to where it's just everybody's dying.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the Union also developed large-scale hospital systems, including pavilion-styled hospitals designed for better ventilation, an early recognition of the importance of air circulation in preventing disease. So hospital ships and trains allowed for organized evacuation and treatment of wounded soldiers, extending care beyond sanitationary hospitals. So the Union, they had a whole system going on. They figured it out. They were structured.
Yeah.
So, the Confederacy faced a very different reality when it came to nursing. So, they had limited industrial capacity and blockades restricted access to medicines, surgical tools, and food supplies. So, without centralized infrastructure, Confederate nurses depended heavily on local communities and volunteers. So women organized aid societies, collected supplies, and transformed homes into hospitals. So very...
Homes? Oh my God.
Yeah, very different atmosphere. So nurses like Kate Cummings described conditions where beds were overcrowded, supplies were reused repeatedly, food shortages weakened patients. So, and yet with these constraints, Confederate nurses adapted. So they used herbal remedies when medicines ran out. They repurposed fabrics into bandages, and they relied on ingenuity when systems failed. So they were surviving on whatever they had.
That's wild.
Yeah, they were just knocking on everybody's door to get help when they could.
Oh my God.
A completely different reality to what the Union had.
Yeah.
And structure. It's crazy how that is.
Jeez.
Same country, same war.
Wow.
Different systems. Just because of what they had. And that's just... Honestly, I think it comes down to, like, social expectations, too. Like, I'm sure Dorothea Dix came in and was like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I have planned. Let me do it. I'm a strong, independent woman from the North. Let me fucking do this. And they were like, well, okay. Whereas, like, in the South, like, the man had all the control.
Yeah, a woman can't even speak. Unless being told they're allowed.
Yeah, it was a very different reality. But then again, with, like, with the war, like, the change of it definitely got them along. Like, in the war, as soon as, like, they started to lose, it got extremely difficult to get those supplies. So it made nursing a lot harder, which sucks for them, but it's like, it's kind of the point.
Yeah.
That's war for you.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, beyond the systems, the experiences of individual nurses vary dramatically. So, social class differences, let's get into that. So, middle and upper class women often had more access to official nursing roles. So, their social status made them more acceptable within military systems. Working class women, however, were equally vital, often taking on physical demanding roles with less recognition. So, and then this dives into race and inequality. So Black nurses faced a systematic discrimination.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So while they performed essential medical work, they were frequently denied paid, given lower status, and excluded from official records, which is absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Yet their contributions were completely undeniable, like especially in managing disease and supporting Black troops and refugee populations.
Yeah.
Because there were Black soldiers that,
of course,
that were in the war. And so, and of course, there were a lot of nurses that probably didn't want to help. And so a lot of Black nurses came in and they were like, I will help. And they saved their lives and they did so much work. And so it's like, we have to thank all of them too, because they put their lives on the line too.
Oh, for sure.
And then the women that, the nurses that helped too, in that case.
Yeah, that's weird.
So
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Again, one of those things about being alive in that time, but
oh yeah, it's absolutely devastating. But the great thing is that there are so many that have been documented now, and they are rightfully put in those museums now.
That's good.
Which is so good because they need that recognition, because it just shows that there were those women and those people out there.
Of course. Yeah.
And those troops.
Yep.
Okay. So religious versus civilian nurses. So Catholic nuns brought structure and discipline, often running hospitals with remarkable efficiency, where civilian volunteers, while less formally trained, brought flexibility and emotional support, adapting quickly to changing conditions. So together, these groups created some hybrid system care. So they kind of figured how to work together in this case, because they kind of had to. It's like as soon as like these volunteer nurses came in and these nuns were like, whoa, what's going on? They're like, hey, we're here to help. And we're going to be doing the nitty gritty stuff that you probably are not comfortable with.
Yeah.
The nuns were like, okay. Like, they kind of just had to figure out how to coexist with each other and work together to save these soldiers' lives.
I'm so curious what, like, the training was like. I guess I didn't know that much, so it wasn't that long.
A lot of hands-on.
But, yeah.
Probably, this is how you do a tourniquet. This is how...
all the basics.
This is how you put pressure on an artery. Yeah. So everything was hands-on, I'm sure. Like, you're not reading out of a book because those books didn't exist.
Yeah. They just jump right into the job, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they did. Everything was just jumping right onto it. And I'm sure there were a lot of women that were, like, absolutely just, like, shell-shocked.
Yeah, because it's like, it's one thing if you, like, go to school for that.
Yeah.
And you know about these things that could happen. Mm-hmm. You're, like, prepared. But then it's another thing to just see it happen.
None of these women were prepared.
Yeah.
None of these, like, I'm sure a girl that was probably like 18 or 19 that went in to be a nurse and volunteered and went out into the field to do nursing, and the first time she saw a leg get amputated, she probably fainted.
Yeah, that's enough to give you PTSD right there.
The amount of amputations that went on in that war.
Yeah.
So many men died because of it.
Yeah.
The amount of, because I would say that's a war of amputations, because that was the way that they thought could kill an infection, was just amputating. But that made the infection worse. And that's what ended up killing a soldier.
Yeah.
Because gangrene was like really bad too. That was like a cause of that. And then, it was
wild and gross.
Okay. So
I could never be a nurse, but especially back then.
Oh my God, it was terrible. Okay. So let's get into some stories of nurses who have defined the war. So the first one I want to talk about, who I also want to talk about later in another episode, was Clara Barton. So Clara Barton refused to stay behind the lines. So at the Battle of Antietam, she arrived with wagons full of supplies just as the fighting ended. She distributed bandages, food, and water, often working nonstop for days. This lady was intense. At one point, a bullet passed through her sleeve while she was tending to a soldier.
Oh my God.
Her willingness to go where the need was greatest defined what nursing could be. She also was she created the Red Cross.
Of course she did. I know that name. I'm like, I've heard that name.
Yeah. So I want to expand on her.
Love that. Yes. Yeah. We need she deserves her own episode.
Yeah. Because the Red Cross, like, if you look at it now, is fucking huge.
That's wild.
Yeah. And this lady, she was badass. So
love her.
Yeah. There's just so many women so many nurses that I could have spent a whole episode just naming nurses in this war and their importance, but like I had to be picky and choosy.
Obviously, we can't just sit and talk about every single one, even though they all deserve recognition.
Okay, the next one, she is ultra famous. Harriet Tubman.
Oh.
So Tubman's contributions,
yes,
extended far beyond traditional nursing. So she used her knowledge of natural medicine to treat diseases like dysentery, and which saved countless lives. Smart lady.
Damn.
But she also served as a spy and a scout, eventually helping lead the Combahee River Raid, which freed more than 700 enslaved people.
Yeah, we need an episode on her too.
Yeah.
Love.
Badass lady. So her work represents the intersection of care, resistance, and strategy, because she is a badass lady.
Love that.
Badass lady.
Harriet.
Love her.
Mrs. Tubman, we love you.
Love you. Okay. So we also have Susie King Taylor. So she was a nurse and teacher for Black Union soldiers. She provided both physical care and education, helping soldiers gain literacy skills and empowered them beyond the battlefield. Her memoir remains one of the most important firsthand accounts of the war from a Black woman's perspective.
Oh my God, I want to read that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was reading a little bit of her story and just what she did, and she's a boss ass bitch.
Oh, I love that.
She was awesome.
Ooh, okay. I'll have to read that book.
I want to do a story. I want to cover all these ladies.
We need to.
Dude, they're all so great. They're
just throw one in once in a while, you know?
Dude, they're fucking crazy. They're so boss. I love them.
That's awesome.
Okay. And then I only had one that was really like a Confederate one. It was honestly kind of hard to find famous like Confederate nurses. The only one I could really find something on was Kate Cumming. Cummings' detailed journals revealed the emotional and physical strain of Confederate nursing, which was, I'm sure, overwhelming.
Yeah.
So she wrote about exhaustion, loss, and the overwhelming number of patients, but also about moments of compassion and connection.
Dang.
So her words remind us that behind every statistic was a human life and someone trying to save it. So for her perspective, like hers was probably just absolute chaos of just how the struggles every day.
I mean, it makes sense because if they can't like try anything new, they're not getting any freedom. They have to knock on people's doors. Like, you're not going to see the ones who, you know,
I mean,
they're in big things.
They're in houses. They're not in hospitals. Like, they're using fabric for bandages at one point. Like, I mean, you got to give it to like these Confederate nurses. Like, they were quick thinking of trying to figure out like, how can I save this soldier with what I have? Like, they had to be
resourceful.
Yeah, they got to be resourceful. Like, you got to give them that
for sure.
Like, that's impressive. All right, so the emotional toll. So nurses experienced what we might now recognize as trauma, of course. Mm-hmm. So they worked environments filled with suffering, often without time to process what they witnessed until later on. And I'm sure PTSD was just terrible. They formed bonds with soldiers only to lose them days later.
Yeah.
And yet they had to continue.
Right.
Their resilience was not absence of pain, but the ability to move on. So, yeah, I can't imagine, like, a lot of soldiers, when they go to war, they lose, like, their buddies and, like, their best friends. But, like, these nurses, a lot of them grow bonds with, like, these soldiers and stuff like that. And a lot of times, like, a lot of them will not make it through their wounds and stuff. And taking that emotional toll of like, I tried to save them and I couldn't.
And I was the last person.
Yeah.
To interact with them, basically.
Yeah. That devastation, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And then the nurses who were battlefield nurses. Oh my God. Because the nurses that were in the battlefields, they were hands-on. Because you had the surgeons that were there doing, like, whatever that they could, like, the amputations. You had infield, like, Clara Barton was one of them that was in there in the tents trying to help in that moment.
While there's firing going on around you.
Yeah, that PTSD is wild.
Yeah.
And of course, PTSD didn't exist until after Vietnam.
Right. Yeah, there was no like mental help that they could get.
They probably thought they were crazy if they were just like had like an episode. Sad. Yeah. And of course, like we never really recognized that. Yeah, women have PTSD too.
Right.
These nurses definitely have it. Like, and even nurses today have it. Like those ER nurses.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, I cannot imagine being a freaking ER. Like,
thank God we have therapy now.
Oh, I know. I just crazy. So when the Civil War ended in 1865, its impact on nursing continued to grow. The war had proven that organized care improved survival, sanitation mattered, and nursing required skill and training.
Yeah.
In the decades that followed, nursing schools were established across the United States. Hospitals adopted more systematic practices. Women expanded their roles in healthcare, as we see, because nursing is like I would say,
women-dominant field.
Yeah, for sure. And figures like Clara Barton continued their work, founding organizations that would provide aid in future crises. So the profession of nursing, once informal and undervalued, became structured and respected. So that is my cover on Civil War nurses.
I love that. They deserve all the recognition.
They really do. It's just crazy. It's so sad.
And they were the ones who had to come home and be expected to, be a mom again or whatever their job was. And
oh yeah,
they can't talk about the war. They can't tell anyone how they're feeling. Like, just have to move on after that is crazy.
Yeah. When I was reading about Kate Cumming, she pretty much, when the war started and they started asking for volunteer women to come and come and be nurses, she was like, okay, I'm going to go and do that. And of course, like her family was like, that's not normal. Like, no. And she's like, I have to do this. And so she was gone for years from her family to be a nurse. And then, like after the war ends, especially being a Confederate nurse and the war ends and you lost.
Yeah.
And you go home. That must have been so awkward.
Oh, yeah. No one's going to give you the respect anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the reconstruction of the United States after the Civil War was just a mess. It took years for it to even just get somewhere.
Yeah.
Because there was just so much fighting afterwards still, of just argument politically and just belief systems and whatnot. And it was all over the place. But yeah, like with these women having to go back home and play the role back of just being a housewife. Granted, like teaching, like women could be teachers and stuff like that. But yeah. I mean, luckily nursing started to change after that.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, it seems like a lot came from it. But wow, those women are heroes. Rest in peace.
They are. We love them. So where can you find us?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at The Past Made Me Do It. You can email us at thepastmademedoit@gmail.com or just send us a DM if you have any episode requests or anything of the sort.
We'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.